We are going to be focusing on macro conditions in Nigeria right now and the impact on housing. Towards the end, if we have a little time, I will talk about the impact on other sectors of the real estate market in Nigeria. This is an interesting chart I got from the Center for Affordable Housing Finance. I mean, talking about the role of housing in any economy. It's an engine for economic growth. It's a financial asset, which an owner can use as security against a loan or which can be traded for cash. It's an engine for job creation. It's a social asset because it gives any citizen a place in a settlement, and it's also an economic asset. Every household, the value of your home is very important for a household. So, I mean, as you can see, owning a home or home ownership is critical for an economy, and it's very important for individual households. Just to give some context about what we are going to be talking about, I mean, obviously, housing has a demand and supply side. I think many of us here are involved on the supply side, as well as on the demand side. So on the supply side, it's developers like Alpha Mead. On the demand side, it's about affordability, availability of financing in the form of mortgages, what interest rates look like, the economy, and how that is impacting households. So that all drives house prices. And going on to the next slide, we see that this is a chart of quarter-on-quarter growth in construction and real estate being services in Nigeria from the Bureau of Statistics. And I mean, you can see that construction and real estate has had a very difficult time over the last year. So 2020 was a tough period. Construction declined 7.68% year on year. Real estate 9.22% year on year. The trend is upwards and it's better, but you can see that, following, I mean, this was kind of driven by COVID, and it's had a very big impact. In terms of contribution of construction and real estate to GDP, I mean, it's very significant. Construction contributes about 8.4% of the GDP of the country. Real estate services 6.4%. And it's interesting to note that, on the construction side, over the last 5-6 years, the contribution has doubled. Real estate development and construction are increasingly vital to the Nigerian economy. In terms of yields, this is an interesting slide for me. Everyone would be aware about, what has happened with yields in Nigeria. From 2018 to 2020, there was significant yield compression, a crash in T-bill rates driven by some policy decisions that the central bank has made. And now that has started to reverse a little. What is good about this is that, I mean, whereas, there's this phenomenon called the crowding out of the federal government, the allegation that they were crowding out investment because, federal government securities were the most interesting thing to buy risk-free and were offering fantastic returns. Now, what this means is that other assets, including real estate, get a look in. So that's also interesting to note. And I mean, that leads us to interest rates. I mean, so as you see, over the last year, interest rates have trended downwards. So you can see that I mean, MPR, for instance, is at 11.5%. The prime lending rate has reduced as well. Treasury bills we talked about, the 91-day T-bill rate has gone down. I mean, so these reductions are being driven by some of the interventions that in monetary policy to support the economy. But as we would know, and I think as you will discuss, I mean, over the course of this session, we need to go further. I mean, it's still not nearly enough in terms of making housing more affordable for many households in Nigeria. Having said that, I mean, in terms of you know, lending to the construction sector and real estate services sector, it has increased. I mean, there's been an overall expansion in credit from banks to you know, generally, and construction has clearly benefited from that. Real estate services have benefited from that. So, I mean, over the last, between 2018 and 2021, you're looking at a 24% compounded annual growth rate in lending to that sector, and a relatively smaller one for real estate at 1.6%. In terms of, you know, this chart is just looking at, you know, PMB balance sheets, so primary mortgage banks, and, you know, lending, the lending they have made, so their claims on the private sector. And I mean, this has not, you know, I'm sure this is a subset of overall mortgage lending in the economy. It hasn't grown as much, and I think, you know, in terms of penetration, here we are looking at a mortgage to GDP ratio of 0.17%. There's some other sources that say 0.5%, but it's just showing that in terms of penetration, there's still a long way to go in delivering mortgages to make housing more affordable for households. In terms of inflation, we've seen a marked increase in inflation, an uptick over the last several years. The last Q1 2021, the year-on-year change was 18.2%. When you remove food, I mean, food is a big driver of that, it's 12.7%. So it's still above target. I think the target is to kind of be in single digits. So obviously, you know, this inflation is driving things like, you know, the cost of construction materials. It's also been driven by the devaluation in FX rates. We are all very familiar with what's going on. And so those are pretty significant changes that have driven up costs. This is a chart from my friends at North Code Research who track building materials prices, and, you know, overall the trend is upwards, as you can imagine. So it's making, you know, real estate is becoming more expensive at a time when I think, you know, for many houses, we want to put it back in reach. So we need creative solutions overall to help with this. In terms of the economic value, looking at the value chain again from the CAHF, you know, domestic production of real estate is over 4 trillion naira, or about 3% of GDP. Again, just indicating how important it is overall, and also the need to work on our Nigeria's, you know, our primary inputs and our intermediate inputs, and to beef that up. The employment potential is huge. The analysis that the CAHF did said, you know, estimated about 1 million jobs in 2017 from real estate. There are other estimates that are double this, but it's obviously showing that, you know, real estate and construction is a big driver of employment in the current climate. So key macro trends, A rapid urbanization, more than 50% of the population in Nigeria lives in urban centers, and that is increasing about over 4% every year. So that's huge. The housing supply deficit, we hear different numbers about this. I'm selecting the 17 million from the CAHF. So it just shows that, look, there's a big need, and this is a huge opportunity for developers and for different stakeholders. I've talked about affordability. It remains an issue which we need to solve. Construction costs are high and increasing. So, there's huge potential for growth. As the economy recovers, there's going to be more demand. But we need to underpin this with ongoing work from various stakeholders. There have been various interventions. I won't go into this in too much detail. We all know from the central bank with the interventions, the planned intervention for manufacturing of local building materials, and the economic sustainability plan being delivered through the Family Homes Fund, which is committed to building 500,000 homes by 2024. There's the FMBN, who we're going to hear from later. There's the NMRC, created to enhance affordability by through mortgage refinancing. What are some of the solutions? I think we all know. Some of the ones I'm going to highlight are scaling up housing supply, supported by the various interventions that we talked about. We need more local manufacturing of building materials. We need to support housing demand, and we need to improve the investment climate. So I think for developers, some of the issues or the niggling items are things like, registering title, how long it takes to get planning permission, the cost of funding. So those are some of the things that need to be addressed to make housing more accessible. I'll just run through very quickly now. In terms of housing affordability, again, I think we'll all be familiar, we'll know this intuitively. The CHF estimates that only there are roughly 25 million urban households, and only 10% of those can really afford, the average kind of formal housing. So that's above this red dotted line there. So, acquisition of formal housing is beyond the reach of majority of the population. It's something we really need to address. Some of the key trends, there's increasing demand for smaller and affordable housing, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. I'm sure that will be talked about soon. On the other spectrum, on the other hand, as work from home is becoming more entrenched and affordability is less of an issue, there's demand for additional rooms. So, we know that, 4 bedroom houses, for instance, are increasing in price again, I think faster than 2 or 3 bedrooms. Security concerns, we all saw what happened with NSARS, and so demand for gated communities, more secure, very important. There's some newer models that are coming into the market now, micro apartments in city centers, and co-living arrangements, which are suitable for young professionals. Just a couple more minutes, just to kind of buttress the point about people spending more time at home. This is from Google. It's a Google Mobility Report. You have your phone, taken from your phone, so Google tracking our movements. But this yellow line is showing, so these lines show a departure from the baseline. So at the beginning of 2020, which is this point here, this was the kind of average. People are performing according to trend. But when COVID started and lockdown started, you can see this yellow line, which is the amount of time people are spending at home, the kind of difference from the average. And you can see that people are spending a lot of time at home in 2020. On the flip side, retail dropped, that's this red line. Workplaces also reduced. Roughly you can see that on this green line. So people are spending more time at home. So it's important, you need to consider the amount of space they need. some of the more working from home arrangements that, you know, as this, as that trend again becomes more entrenched. You know, in terms of the impact on real estate of COVID, obviously hospitality was most affected, and retail, as we saw, and offices. Residential less so. Residential has been doing better than anyone expected, and obviously this is a good time to develop and invest. So that is it from me. I think I've taken more than 5 minutes, but I will hand it over back to Chesson. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Larry. That was very spot on. And I think very much you spoke to the major things that are required. But I have 2 questions here for you. Larry, for those who are just joining us, Larry is just giving a quick overview of the economy, of the macro and micro economy, and how these have impacted the housing finance sector and housing development sector, and what are the trends that home buyers should be looking out for. And that takes me to my question, Larry, from the chat box, where someone is asking that, what does this mean, or what these trends and stuff, what do they mean for the average man who is looking to buy a home? So if you can just shut that down very quickly, what's the takeaway for the man who is trying to take a home? What should he or she be looking out for? Thank you very much, Larry.
I mean, the takeaway is that there is a concerted effort by different stakeholders, from the federal government and from private developers, to create more affordable housing and to put out more units. And so if you are the average man on the street, I think that's good news. It means that, look, you know, there's the opportunity to own a home, and there's a lot of you know, everyone recognizes the importance of it, and there's a lot of help coming. To date, I mean, most home purchases are financed, you know, by cash, you know, cash outright, and this may not be in the reach of everyone, but there are a lot of interventions coming down the line to drive down house prices, and also to improve access to finance, and make housing more accessible. So I hope that is clear.
Fantastic. Just before I introduce the keynote speaker and the group managing director, just one question that also came from the chat box is, if you could suggest, given your experience and expertise, where should we be buying?
I can't answer that without knowing a lot more. You know, investment choices are very individual and based on many factors. So I think the first step is to know that it's a good idea to invest in real estate. I think that's a good first step. The next requires someone to speak to the individual and understand what their objectives are, what they're trying to do, and then take it from there. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Larry, for that. I hope you hang in there. I can still see some questions coming in, but before I take those, I will quickly do some introductions. Then we move on. Let me recognize the special assistant to the managing director of Federal Mortgage Bank, Mr. Shehu Osidi. Is there looking smiley, sharp, and brimming and bright this morning. Thank you very much, sir, for honoring us and for giving us this time.
Thank you very much.
Before I go on to introduce the keynote speaker, somebody very important just joined us, the man with the big vision of Alpha Meet. His name is Femi Akintunde, Engineer Femi Akintunde. is the Group Managing Director of Alphamid Group, and is here, joining us live this morning to see how things are going. So I'll just give him about 2 minutes to just speak to the audience. We have over 295 people right now online listening to us. So they would like to hear from you as the man from the top, after which we'll be introducing the Managing Director of the Federal Mortgage Bank, and I'll let Engineer Femi Akitunde also do the honor of introducing him. Then we go into the keynote address why we are all here today, and we take it up from there. Up to you now, Engineer Femi Akitunde.
Yeah, good morning, SESO, and good morning, everybody on this call today. I won't say this is a trap SESO set for me, because I thought I was just going to come as one of the listeners and just do the main assignment he has given me, the honor to introduce our special guest today. But now he says I should talk for 2 minutes. I don't know. I wasn't prepared for this, but Nigerians know they carry last. So please pardon me. Whatever I'm able to say, it's impromptu, but it's going to be something from the bottom of my heart. I think one of the first things I'd like to say is to sincerely thank everybody for making it to this platform this morning. It simply says something about the resilience of Nigerians. No matter what we do, no matter what the situation that confronts us, we are constantly looking for solution to the problem of our lives. And that's why people don't understand why, when they say that things are really rough, they are tough, but Nigerians are getting by. And they even say at a point that Nigerians are among the happiest people on earth. Some people are wondering, why are they saying that, despite all what we are going through? For you to have woken up on a Saturday morning, on a May day, to be on this platform, it simply says something that you are seeking solution to one of the most important problems that confront every human being, which is shelter. Shelter is very, very important. And it's even far more important at this time when COVID has drastically changed the narratives of how we live, how we work, and how we play. And people have captioned this the era of VUCA, where things are so volatile, uncertain, very, very complex and ambiguous. If you are living in that kind of environment, in that kind of situation, you must be prepared to keep your eye on the ball and the foot on the pedal. And that's why I believe this morning, we all woke up at this time on a weekend, on a public holiday, to attend this important webinar. You will agree with me that Nigeria is not yet where it should be in terms of provision of housing. We are talking of over 200 million people. We have less than the required number to make up what you can call housing for all, which is one of the sustainable development goals that we've been pursuing for some time, when we said by 2020, there will be house for all. But a lot of people are doing their best, irrespective of the challenges, to ensure that we connect the dots. And this is where companies like us play. We don't believe that we cannot find solution to this problem. But whatever the solution will be, will require a lot of hard work. It will require a lot of thinking. It will require a lot of collaboration in the industry. This is why we constantly are looking for credible partners in terms of provision of funding, provision of skills, provision of materials, provision of the latest technology and methodology of constructing and delivering quality houses to people. But more importantly, as we have come to realize again, is provision of good finance. Good finance. The federal government has done so well by introducing a lot of initiatives that is helping us to drive this vehicle faster and closer to the destination where it should be. And we have been blessed to have important people that have been placed at the helm of that affairs. Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria has been doing fantastically well, and there have been a number of private mortgage banks in Nigeria that have also not relented in their efforts to do this. So we as developers, we must be prepared. We must stand up and play our own role. And if we all do what is necessary, housing for all may not be a far-reaching goal for us. We may be able to hit it earlier than expected. Yes, it's been slow, but I believe we will still get there. Thank you very much for organizing this event. Our AMDC, under the able leadership of Damola Akindolure and our head of marketing and corporate communications. You guys have done a wonderful job, and I'm happy. I'm pleased to be here today. So this is what you've asked me to do at this point. Until when we have our special guests ready, then I'll come back. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Femi today. Yeah, you never catch a Akindolure by the corner. Right. Thank you. I know I didn't give you that brief, but thank you for doing us the honor either ways. Right. Some questions are coming, particularly from Nigerians in diaspora, and trust me, we have Philip Njama here who is going to take, Philip Jama rather, who's going to take those questions. And we also have Simon, because some of them speaks directly to mortgages. But before we go into the questions, and please let those questions keep coming. It will be nice by the time Architect Musa Dangiwa is here, we have the questions ready so that I can take them as a whole. I will just, so we'll go straight to Philip. Philip, are you still there?
I am indeed. I am indeed. I am here.
Fantastic. And I'm taking Philip first, so forgive me on the slight change in order, because what I'm looking at in the chat box is like we have more Nigerians in diaspora here than we have Nigerians at home. We have some interesting numbers of people online. But so Philip, before we go, just to give a sort of background to the other panelists, particularly Simon and the FMBN team, and definitely the production house like AMDC. What are the trends that you see from your position as the co-founder of SESO Global, always focused on helping Nigerians in diaspora own homes back here, right? What are the trends that you see in terms of finance and product type from the diaspora?
Okay, many thanks for the question. Can I thank everybody who's joined us today? And it's wonderful to be sitting on such a prestigious webinar panel. So thank you, many thanks for asking me. Let me just very quickly, before I ask those questions, just tell everybody what it is that we do at SESO. So SESO Global was set up to try and improve the level of trust and transparency within the property transaction process in emerging markets. And to do that, we use technology. So we have we sell on our website, on our marketplace, we sell properties. It's very clear about that. So if you come onto the SESO marketplace, you can find a property that you like, but also you can access the other services you need to buy a property with the required trust that you need. So for example, you can access a trusted law firm to do the due diligence. You can access financing. We have some banks there. You can access insurance, interior design. So what we've essentially built is a one-stop shop for property transactions through a unique ecosystem of services that we have created. Our business model is B2B2C. So the B2C side is very much the marketplace. We do have a B2B CRM platform that we sell to developers that helps developers, again, achieve those 3 T's: trust, transparency, and technology. So if you're interested in buying a property, please visit our website, and then we can help you through that process. In terms of demand, what have we noticed in terms of demand? So SESO sells properties for upwards of $1.5 million. That's obviously not within the affordable, and it's residential. I have to stress that we do residential sales. We have done some lettings, but it's mostly residentials. We've sold up to 1.4, 1.5. This is around, as you'd expect, Ikoi. But if the conversation is more on the affordable housing side, we're selling properties at around 15 million to 30 million naira, which is in US terms around 31,000 to about 61,500 USD. Now, I think the point needs to be made that, and your previous speaker spoke very well on this, that the properties that we sell at the lower end are really outside the reach of many people within Nigeria. We're capturing the top 10% of the market, or the local market, as well as the diaspora market. And one of the opportunities that have come out of COVID is that Naira depreciation has benefited individuals, particularly in the US and the UK, because of major currency appreciation, which has increased against Naira by about 30%. So in terms of where we see the trends, yeah, there is a huge opportunity at the moment to buy residential in areas that have seen significant percentage increases, such as Ikoyi, VI, Lekki, to be totally honest with you. And there's also an opportunity on the diaspora side to take advantage of that Naira depreciation that happened so memorably a year ago because of oil depreciation. So I hope that explains where we see the demands and also gives everybody an overview of what we do at SESO.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Philip. I have two questions. Sorry, it looks like the questions are coming right even before the panelists are speaking, but we are here for the customers and we just have to give it to, we have to give them the information that they need. I'm going to take one to Damola now, then I'm probably going to come back to Mr. Osidi, pending the time that we are expecting the managing director of the FMBN. So Damola, one of the questions that is here is talking about where should, and I think this question is just coming and coming again. Somebody asked Larry that question and it's also coming, again, and this is coming from Martin Clement. What areas are available to buy homes this season? I mean, everybody knows what is happening. So, and like they used to say in real estate, it is about location, location, location. So Martin Clement is asking you, Damola, what are the areas are you betting on this period? And the next one is going to be coming to Mr. Osidi, and it's about mortgage options or other financing options besides the National Housing Fund. So Damola.
Thank you very much, SESO, and good morning to all our esteemed panelists. We're quite grateful for you to honor our invitations, and to the wonderful attendees, customers who have also made out time to join us. We really appreciate the time. Happy New Month and Happy Workers' Day. The whole idea of putting together an event like this on a day like this is that we want to get Nigerian families to own their own homes. The hardworking families that put in all that they can must have homes, and that's really what I call the Nigerian dream. So let me take it down to Sheson's question. The reality is that urban centers would always continue to take priority over, suburban centers. So if you were taking a bet in Lagos, for example, I usually have an acronym I call the 4 points of Lagos. So the way real estate works is you being able to take advantage of virgin opportunities and then watch how government is investing in infrastructure in those places. And then from there, you're able to tap into the capital appreciation or capital growth of such an asset. So one thing I can tell you is that the Lekki corridor is the fastest growing corridor in the whole of West Africa. It's experiencing very huge investments from multinationals and government agencies. So I'll definitely be hedging my bets somewhere around that area. Anything from the Ajah area all the way down to the free trade zone area is a good bet. And I think it's something you should strongly consider. Another area you should be looking at clearly is the completion of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and the train that the federal government has just recently commissioned. So what that means is that travel time will continue to reduce between suburban cities and urban cities. So the Lagos Ibadan area, the Mowe of Fada, will continue to witness very, very quiet appreciation, maybe not at the pace to which you're seeing in Lekki, Ekpe, but they would witness some very strong appreciation. And then in Abuja, which is not a very familiar market for me, I do know that some areas are showing very strong and promising signs, like the Lugbe area, the Gwarimpa areas. Those are areas that are opening up, and their suburbs would definitely be areas that you should take advantage of. And if you're looking at Port Harcourt, I'm sure you'll be looking at areas that are close to the multinational companies. So I may not be able to speak more on that, but Lagos and Abuja, I think those are areas you should be looking at to hedge your bets. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Damola. But one more question is coming to you before I go to Osidi, and that is, I earn 400,000 naira monthly. How can I own a home with this kind of salary?
So that's why we are here. 400,000 is a decent salary. But like I said, the homeownership journey has to be planned, it has to be organized, and it has to be targeted. So with 400,000, you are definitely going to qualify if you contribute to the National Housing Fund, which is a statutory act by the NHF Act that allows you to take 2% of your deductions you contributed to the Federal Mortgage Bank. The Federal Mortgage Bank is able to fund you to the tune of 15 million naira to acquire a home of your choice. Now we understand the cost of items and materials have all gone up. So what can 15 million naira really do? So that brings me down to the kind of house type you should be looking at. If you're a family man, and if you're taking for 15 million over the period of 30 years or 25 years, depending on your age to retirement, your average monthly repayment will be somewhere between somewhere under 150,000 naira a month. Now, if you look at that and you compare that to the rent that people pay, you'd have to really, consider if it makes sense to continue to rent, or you can take advantage of some of these opportunities that the Federal Mortgage Bank is offering, and then you can also consider buying. For example, within our product category, we're able to offer houses within that range for either studio or one-bedroom apartments, or you can also make up the difference through other, means. So if you up that budget to a 20 million budget, you'll be getting a 2-bedroom in some of our very prestigious developments along the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway. So my feedback to you would be, I would advise that you check with your HR team and begin to look at the possibility of accessing the Federal Mortgage Bank National Housing Fund to support your home ownership dreams. At 6%, it's unbeatable. Even the federal government doesn't borrow at 6%. So I think this, for me, I can call it a lottery, because it's one of the things that you will not find just anywhere else. But that's why we're here today, and I'm sure the SA and the MD of the Federal Mortgage Bank will speak more to this. Thank you.
Okay, I'll take 2 more questions, then we will go back to the order of the day. Just so the other questions goes to Mr. Osidi. My question bordered around NHF team. One of the requirements for applying for NHF loan is that you must provide tax clearance. So for Nigerians in diaspora who are contributors to the fund, what would they also need to provide Nigerian tax clearance, or would they need a tax clearance from their country of residence to suffice? Mr. Osidi, please.
Thank you very much for that question. The straight answer is usually you pay tax where you earn your income. So it will naturally flow that the tax clearance presented from your country of residence will be acceptable for the diaspora mortgage. Because like other documentations with respect to your income, your status of employment, of course, directly from your country of residence. So that will be accepted. You will not need to provide another tax clearance from Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay, and lastly, just on questions, then we go back to the trend. Simon, I don't know if you are still there. Simon, are you there?
Sorry, excuse me. Maybe before you move to Simon, can I quickly say something? There was a question addressed to the Federal Mortgage Bank earlier.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, you would recall that I think one of the earliest questions you raised was to say what are other available mortgage options for Nigerians outside of the NHF? And I would like to answer that question, from the lighter mood to say, because I am from FMBN and we run the National Housing Fund, we are not comfortable talking about other options outside of the NHL. But having said that, looking at it more broadly within the context of the housing sector in Nigeria, I would say that we will then be looking at what we call in our parlance commercial mortgages, meaning that, like Damora beautifully explained, the cheapest mortgage rate in Nigeria, of course, is the mortgage rate through the National Housing Fund, which is 6%, which is, you can't get that anywhere else. And but if you are looking at other options, it will mean taking commercial mortgages at probably 15, 18, 20, 26%, essentially from the commercial banks. So our point is that every Nigerian should be encouraged to join the National Housing Fund. We have tried to liberalize the conditions for accessing the fund, which I believe my MD is going to speak more elaborately on this. But like you know, we have introduced a number of measures to lower the barrier to home ownership. One of the first things we did was to remove the equity contribution for loans of between 5 million and below, and then to crash the required equity contribution from 20 to 30% for loans between 5 million to 50 million to a straight 10%. And we have also introduced individual construction loans where individuals can access loans to build houses in any place of their choice in Nigeria. And then we also have the rent to own, where you pay rent gradually and then the house eventually becomes yours. So yes, we have other options outside of NHF. They are more expensive, but they are available outside the NHF fold. But your best bet is to key into the National Housing Fund. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Osidi. Just before we go back, so I called on Simon the other time. Simon, there is a question here. I know it's between you and Federal Mortgage Bank, but let me just throw this your way. Then we'll probably be getting some more supporting questions. Answers. A question is here: are business owners or entrepreneurs entitled to housing mortgages, or is it just for salary earners? Because I'm really interested. I'm a business owner.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone on the panel. My brother Osidi, thank you for sparing your time this morning. The Group Managing Director of AlphaMid, the MD of AlphaMid, Mr. Philip Jaman, and Sean. Thank you, everyone, and all the attendees. The truth is, it's actually an erroneous understanding to say until you work in a salary setting, you cannot access the Federal Mortgage Bank NHF loan or any form of mortgage. If that is done, the mortgage scheme itself will be limited. And like Osidi had said, and I'll write on that, the aim of Federal Mortgage Bank right now is to expand the scope. They expand the scope, and that is why Federal Mortgage Bank, in its wisdom, introduced the Cooperative Housing Development Loan that takes care of those who are in structured employment and those who are in unstructured employment. The major problem we are having is just in terms of collections, and thank God now Nigeria and the financial system is beginning to embrace the fintech model. So that is making loan collections and loan repayment easy and easy to manage right now. But it is not going to be, and it is never limited to only people in structured pay job alone. It's expanding and it's expanding. One of the things we are doing right now in AG Mortgage Bank PLC is that we are reaching out now to the unbanked to put them together under cooperative umbrella, union umbrella, and structure cooperative housing mortgage for them in partnership with the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. We've test run this, is working in Abuja, it's working in Enugu. We've brought it into Lagos. We also are launching our micro mortgage scheme to be able to bring in some of those people into accessing mortgages to buy homes like what you're developing along the Lekki-Ekpe axis, and it will shock you that, you know, people who are business owners are even faithful and have more steady income than those in structured payment. I've seen it work several times. I've interfaced with people in Wuse Market here in Abuja, where I reside. I've interfaced with people in Alaba Market, Alaba International Market. I've interfaced with people in Ogbete Market. They also want to live in organized setting like what you're doing in Abidjan, Transcendence, and Green Park. They want to live in organized real estate setting. They want to give their children the best. That they are working in the market or in a structured environment does not mean that their income is low. I want us to get that first and foremost. You may be shocked that some of these guys have their per capital income is higher than those who go to the 8 to 5 jobs. And so we have decided not to neglect that sector. And the revenue in that sector is huge. The market in that sector is heavily untapped, 100%, I can assure you. And a dive into it in what we started doing in Enugu showed us clearly that that market is huge. If we harness it properly, it can turn in and reduce the housing deficit in Nigeria. And Federal Mortgage Bank, like I've also said earlier, like Osidi said, had also lowered entry points, had liberalized the system, and they've introduced informal cooperative. They've made allowance and room for informal cooperative as well as formal cooperative, and they treat every one of them equally. And I can also shock you that they have also decided that they will make even the entry point and requirement easier and more affordable for the informal sector. Like the kind of money they pay for the accreditation is a bit lower than what the formal cooperative pay. And that is to tell you that they also are interested in hitting that sector and providing homes for those members of that sector. And if we decide to harness the informal sector properly, it's going to increase the contribution in NHF, and that's going to make more funds available for housing development. So that sector, we are not going to neglect it at all. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Simon. We'll go back to the other event. Trust me, the questions are pouring in. It's even more difficult for me to catch up, but let me quickly do this announcement. I have shared a form in the chat box and in the question and answer boxes. In the question and answer box rather. Please complete those forms if you are interested in any of these. Just in case we cannot answer your questions today, we would get somebody to call you. So please do well to complete the form. If we are not able to reach you today, the questions are coming in particularly for entrepreneurs, and you've just heard what Simon have said about what the mortgage banks are doing. And by the way, AGM is one of the partners of mortgage partners for Alphamid Development Company on its products. So there are opportunities and there are clearly ways at which these things can be explored. So please do well to complete the form. We'll get somebody from our team to call you and you can take things up from there. I will come back to the questions, but let me go back to the order of events so that we can run this up within the shortest possible time. So the first question.
Excuse me, Mr. Moderator, please, can I interrupt a bit? Just 1 second. I just wanted to add something to what Simon said. That was a very eloquent response from him, by the way. I just wanted to ask, because the question was very specific about business owners. I would like to say that at the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, in fact, the provision to join the NHF scheme for business owners is a lot more easier, because what you are required to do is to determine on your own what you think is your monthly income, determine on your own how much of that you think you can contribute to the National Housing Fund, and you just contribute for 6 months, and then that entitles you to, that qualifies you, to apply for an NHF loan. Now, when you now apply for the loan, we are now going to be able to sit down with you to determine what exactly is your affordability, and then you can go take the house. So yes, like Simon said, there are various windows that we have opened, including the cooperative window for those in the informal sector. But just to emphasize the fact that if you are a small business owner, or probably 10 employees or 5 employees, you can actually register your small business with the NHF. With 5 employees, you make contributions, and then each of you can actually apply and take an NHF loan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Osidi. So we'll go back to the order of event now. We'll take some of the questions. and we now come back to the question and answers from the chat box. They are pouring in, like I said. The first question here will be going to Damola Akindolure, right? And the question is, how is Alphamid Development Company going about making products that meet government-backed kind of funding? So I think what this is saying is that for those who are not able to access commercial kind of funding, how is Alphamid Development creating products that can be easily used to access funding on the government side?
Thank you very much, Sheson. I think one of the things we had to do was when we saw the impact of COVID, we realized that we had to not step down the quality, but step down the pricing that we consider to be the threshold for affordable housing. So typically, we're used to building single, townhouses, single dwelling units for homeowners, but when we saw the impact of COVID and the pandemic on the economy, we realized that smaller type housing units were going to be preferred. And there are many advantages that come with smaller type housing units. I always say that there's no affordable housing without affordable materials, because everything that constitutes the affordable housing process must be moderated. But we must decide, what do we have control over and what do we not have control over? We don't have control over the ex-factory price of cement, neither do we have control over the ex-factory price of reinforcements and other factors that make up the building supply chain. But what we have control over is that we are able to design, we're able to organize spaces in a manner that is befitting for homeowners. So to answer the question, what is Alphamid doing? What we have done is that we have taken a deep dive into the research patterns of an average homeowner, and we have deduced what are the critical elements that we consider to be important that makes up the home space. One is that you must have a sizable space, irrespective of whether it's a townhouse or it's an apartment. So that way you can have family engagements. The rooms must meet minimum requirements, cross ventilation and so on and so forth, etc. So we have come up with products that are below the band of 30 million that allows us to access the Federal Mortgage Bank support. And that's another thing I would like to mention, that Alphamid has gone into a strategic relationship with several mortgage banks and who are good ambassadors of the Federal Mortgage Bank, like AG Homes, to bring affordability on the mortgage side to homeowners. In any advanced economy, you hardly will see a cash purchase of anything as substantial as a house. So that is the narrative we need to change. One of the things Timi mentioned was that the GDP to mortgage GDP to contribution ratio was 0.08%. There's no functioning economy that can create jobs with that kind of with that kind of abysmal contribution to GDP. So I think the gap here is that information is not available for the deciding public to onboard their interest. We have designed home structures, designed home designs that meet the requirements of the federal government NHF fund. And the issue here is for people to connect with the relevant mortgage banks that have the expertise, like AG Mortgage, to access the National Housing Fund so that they can buy some of these smaller house types to advance their homeownership dreams. And like we say, as your income continues to develop over time, you can also continue to expand your desire for larger scale type of housing. Always remember, a larger house comes at a larger cost of maintenance. So it's important that you consider communities where you have multi-unit dwellings where you can reduce your cost of, not just the cost of acquisition, but also the cost of operating and staying in such a community would also be much lower. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Damola. The next questions go to Simon. Simon, the question is, what is AG Mortgage doing in terms of different possible mortgage options that are outside, government-backed mortgage, such as the NHF? What other, mortgage are available for people to explore?
Thank you so much, moderator. Outside the NHF, which comes at 6%, AG Mortgage Bank has also developed products like Leap into Mortgage product. It's called Limo. Limo is a mortgage product that allows you to take a long-term lease with a developer or a property owner, and then in the process of leasing, once you consistently repay your lease amount on a monthly or instrumental basis, as might be agreed, it can then be converted into a mortgage product for you, into a mortgage product. So at the end of the day, you now own up the house. We also developed tenant ownership mortgage, which is called TOM. Is more like what is called interest-free mortgage product. Interest-free in the sense that instead of undertaking this mortgage at an interest rate of 6%, 18%, 22%, as the case may be, at this point you're going to be paying monthly rental. So it's suitable also for some of our buyers and prospective customers who are averse to interest rate, and we make this available. They pay a monthly rental, and at the end of the rental, the property becomes theirs. It's a strategically thought of mortgage product, and of course, the normal average commercial residential mortgages that is available, administered by every other mortgage bank. We also administer that. But the good thing and the one of the most fascinating thing about what we do at AG Mortgage Bank is that the turnaround time is quicker. Our processes are majorly automated and seamless. And so, if you choose to subscribe to the Limo, which is the Leap into Mortgage product, or the tenant ownership mortgage product, which is TOM, or the normal residential mortgage, we can assure you of a processing and disbursement of your mortgage within 2 weeks if all your documents are complete, particularly the title deeds of the property you intend to buy. And in that light, we have also been able to form this strategic partnership with Alphamid, because we have discovered that titling the titles with which they've provided over time are in perfectible state, and the products they've been delivering have also been in good condition. So that has made some of those products available for our off-takers. Thank you. It seems you're muted.
All right. Thank you very much, Simon, for that. I apologize for on behalf of Ahmed Dangiwa. Technology can be very interesting sometimes, but I assure you, he's right here online now. He's been trying to join, but technology just proved to be technology. But finally, we have Ahmed Dangiwa here. There are lots of questions here. I was supposed to come back to Simon. So I was supposed to come back to Philip. So Philip, just hang in there, right? Just hang in there for me. I'll come back to you. But I am very sure that the amount of questions that are coming here, I can tell you, 80% of people have questions even before Ahmed Dangiwa is making his presentation. That is very interesting. So, welcome, Architect Musa Dangiwa. Thank you for honoring this invitation. I will apologize on behalf of technology for whatever has gone wrong. But our
thank you very much.
Director, Engineer Femi Akintunde, is here. He's been waiting to welcome you virtually. So I'm not going to do the honor. I would allow Engineer Femi Akintunde, whom is the visionary for Alphamid Group, to do the honor of welcoming Architect Dangiwa, after which we will take Architect Dangiwa's keynote, then we go back to the questions and answer session. Thank you very much. Engineer Akitune, thank you.
I say a very warm welcome to our special guests of today, Architect Ahmed Dangiwa. It is my great honor and pleasure. First of all, let me start by thanking you for the warm reception you gave me and my colleagues the last time we visited you in Abuja.
Engineer Akitune, I'm not sure that we can hear you very clearly.
I'm not muted, actually. Can you hear me now?
Very faintly.
You can't hear me? Hello? Can you hear me better?
Yeah, it's coming on better. It's coming up better.
Okay. All right. So I was saying that I want to first of all thank Architect Ahmed Dangiwa for an excellent reception he gave us the last time I visited him in Abuja together with my colleagues. We were quite honored, and I left with a lot of hope and assurance that the journey to home ownership for all Nigerians, we are very well on course. And this is the kind of thing, the relationship and partnership that Nigeria has been waiting for between the public and the private sector. The suspicion of private sector suspecting public, public suspecting private. I think the more we have the likes of Architect Ahmed Dangiwa, who has been on both sides and can be the bridge, the better for us as a nation to start making the desired progress. So that is my starting point. But the job I have this morning is to introduce Architect Ahmed Dangiwa. He's a very, very well-known figure in the real estate industry. So I will be wasting your time trying to read his profile. His profile is all over the internet. So if you want to know more about him, if you have not, just listen to news, at least consecutively for 1 week. You will hear his name 3 times. So this is the kind of personality we're talking about this morning. But it is not going to be out of place for me to say a few things about the gentleman we're talking about today, whom we have brought to this forum to directly speak to Nigerians, both at home and in diaspora, of whom we have over 200 this morning. About 700 to 800 people actually signed onto this program. And some of them are not able to make it, but they've requested that we should please send the link because they would like to watch it. They would like to read it. Time zone is affecting some people. And before we even open the platform, over 40 people have already signed in, waiting for you. So this is going to be a very interesting session to have him here today. He's the MD of Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. He's an architect by profession. He has had experience both in the private sector, in the academic, and now a public servant as the managing director of this great bank. Architect Dangiwa has over 30 years experience cutting across these various sectors. And I must say that by the time he was being appointed to that job, a few people that have known him have told the industry that we are up for a very, very interesting tenure because the gentleman coming on board is coming with a lot of new innovation and is a man that is very practical. I can assure you that is exactly what we have experienced. We've gotten more than what we bargained for in the last 3 years from Architect Dangiwa. He has introduced a lot of new initiatives. He has been bold in his policy direction. He has been very consistent and systematic in following up with execution. People will say that, oh, Nigerians have a lot of plans, we know how to do strategy, but our problem is execution. I think we have a different person in Architect Dangiwa because every single policy pronounced, he follows it up with very systematic implementation. And I must say that this is one clear example of somebody who was prepared for the job before he got the job. I don't think he was begged to come onto this job. It's like he was waiting for this job before he was born. He has done incredibly well. I think Osidi has already told us quite a lot of some of those initiatives, but I'm sure Architect Dangiwa will still speak to some of them. So I don't want to go through them again, but I must say one or two that has really transformed the industry. The way he has approached the developer loan for support has been incredible. The construction mortgage is incredible. The way he crashed the interest on loans for the low income earners, below 5 million, you pay zero interest. I don't know how many countries and for how long Nigeria has ever witnessed such a very bold initiative. And then when you are talking of around 10 million, you also pay only 10% contribution. Sorry, the contribution I mean. And the interest rate of 6%, this is one thing that we have all been celebrating and connecting to, both developers and the buyers. It has really, really transformed the industry. And this policy has been consistent. No discrimination anywhere in the country. In fact, I'm amazed that it's like they are the ones trying to even encourage the governors to come on board. He will go to the governors forum, he will speak with them, he will go to this place, talk to them. So it's not one of those public servants that sit down in his office. When you watch their program on NTA every Friday evening, I don't miss it. It's regular. Once I get home, I have my dinner with that program. It's the second dinner I have. You will see him going from project to project. He's very close to the developers. He's very close to home buyers. So I must say that we are very blessed to have somebody like Architect Ahmed Dangiwa in this position at this time. And I'm sure that he has done so well that we are hoping that next will be even bigger for Nigerians to even appreciate and enjoy the service of people like this. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you our guest speaker, our special guest today, Architect Ahmed Dangiwa. Thank you very much, sir, for honoring our invitation. You're welcome.
All right, thank you very much, Engineer Femi Akitune. So we just move straight to hear from our special guest of honor, who is the keynote speaker of this second edition of the Alphamid Development Market Focus Series, focused on educating the home ownership market about the various initiatives of government and government parastatals such as the Federal Mortgage Bank to help and hasten people's journey to home ownership. Architect Dangiwa, you are welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you very much, Mr. Femi, for that elucidating words. I think my DGM, my able DGM, has already done much for me, Mr. Osidi, because while I was out, I was watching you, I couldn't get connected. So, Mr. Osidi, well done for all what you have said about us. And I can see that there are a lot of friends, Mr. Simon Ogu and Mr. Demola. Yes, the only person who is new to me is Mr. Philip, who has made tremendous remarks. I can hear that. Yes, as you know that housing plays a key socio-economic role and represent the main wealth of the poor, particularly in developing economies of the world. From the current 7 billion, the United Nations estimate the global population will reach almost 8.5 billion by year 2030. 2030 is by the corner in the next 8 years, with almost 60% of the population living in urban centers. You find that of this estimated 3 billion will need new housing and basic urban infrastructure by year 2020. So against this backdrop of rapid urbanization, which is putting pressure on housing, you'll find the delivery system, many of the urban poor will be unable to afford formal housing if appropriate housing finance solutions are not developed as a matter of urgency. Because according to the World Bank, this looming challenge has placed the issue of affordable housing finance at the forefront of the global agenda for development. But notwithstanding the apparently overwhelming acceptance of the private sector in the delivery of services globally, government and its public institutions like us must play a critical role through less visible role in the provision of funding of housing. Due to the fact that attraction of profit or the need to avoid unnecessary risk are not in the public sector, but the private sector cannot service the entire population or market in any economy. Therefore, the need for government to provide assist funds that are there. We have this in many of the nations, in New York, in Vienna, in Lombard, Italy, and Australia. They are all given some subsidies, there are some assistance funding at national, state, or local level. They use market mechanism to influence the supply of affordable housing. This includes, they do provide tax incentives, they do grants or exemptions for construction of affordable homes. They also allow a percentage of cost to be set against the developers or housing associations like tax obligations. So it includes the project that stipulates mixed use of land and inclusion in zoning. So many of these nations I've mentioned, they do such initiatives, like the New Housing Finance and Investment Corporation of Austria. They provide cheap long-term finance for developing affordable housing units by using bonds that aggregate the borrowing requirements. In Lombardia, they use their own model, many states. So when you come to the Nigerian situation, there are examples of government assist funds as follows. We have the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. Through budgetary provision, they provide housing finance, they do provide houses to Nigerians, whereby many Nigerians, many houses are being built across the nation. We have the Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board, where through budget also, they provide loans to the federal government staff through budgetary provisions. We also have the Federal Housing Authority, who are charged with the responsibility of providing houses for Nigerians. You will find them building houses all over for both the cadre of the low, medium, and even high income earners. They are meant to do that by that through budgetary provisions. Recently, we have the Family Homes Fund registered in 2017. The commenced operation in 2018. The Family Homes Fund is a Sub-Saharan African's housing fund focused on affordable homes for Nigerians on low-income cadre. They are doing it currently. It's a social housing initiative promoted by the federal government as part of the social intervention program, with initial shareholding of the Federal Ministry of Finance and the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. This is apart from the federal government, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, whose role and mandate is the apex government-sponsored housing finance institution. FMBM continues to pursue the mandate of providing a robust mechanism for affordable housing delivery in Nigeria, especially the low and medium income segments. The functions of the FMBN, as said earlier, I'm sure Mr. Femi and Mr. Simon, they have said a lot, but the main functions are to link the mortgage finance market with capital market and develop a viable secondary mortgage market. That's what we are doing. We also to encourage the emergence and promote the growth of viable mortgage loans originators, which are the PMBs, housing in Nigeria. We also mobilize domestic and foreign funds into housing finance sector, though this one has been, we're still in the process, and we are also to collect, administer, and manage the National Housing Fund. This National Housing Fund is required to is a contributory all Nigerians, whether in the public or private or even the formal and informal sector, they contribute 2.5% of their monthly income in order to get some loans, affordable mortgages to own the houses. So the role and mandate of FMBN, as I said, is on all the two cadres. The business focus is affordable home ownership for the low and medium income earners who provide the segment accounts for 90% of the Nigerian population. Now we are more focusing on the informal sector, as said, through the cooperative housing development bank. We find that the chunk of Nigerians, over 80% of Nigerians belongs to that informal sector. So that market needs to be explored. If you try to explore that market, many Nigerians will own home and it's going to reduce. And FMBN is giving both the cadre, by giving for the lower income, which is the rent to own, home renovation loans. It's just 1 million naira to renovate your house. We realized that this 1 million naira were given to individuals to renovate their house in our local governments. In 700,000 naira after they bought a floor of 100 or 150,000 naira. So with 700,000 naira, people started owning houses. That's why within the last 4 years of our coming, we are able to has given us even the collateral, nothing like collateral about it. We are also into individual construction loan. Those whose title land, they approach any of our branches where the land is located for us to give you a loan to construct your house. Not only to construct, some people use it to even complete their own house. Maybe you start a building up to roof level, you cannot move further. The individual construction loan can be able to assist you to complete your own house and even furnish it. As long as you have that affordability, that's what you can be able to get it. And the NHL processes are very, very liberal. You'll find that apart from the fact that if you have an employer registers you, and then, or you register yourself if you're unemployed or self-employed, from there you get we issue you NHF participation number. The employer also deducts and remits the NHF contributions into us. Employer also submit the NHF payment, a schedule with remittance every month. And also contributor registers on NHF IT platform, which you have star 219 hash, to be able for transparency and accountability, to be able to monitor what your contribution and even other products that you are having. The contributor also receives monthly alert of contributions that you are having. This was not the case before. Contributors also applies for any of the NHF loan once you are 6 months into the contribution, while the FMBN will now process and approve and disburses the loans. And when the loans are disbursed, repayment continues monthly, and you will find that the loan will be fully redeemed. Once it is fully redeemed, contributor and attain the 60 years of age, that contribution that you give, you apply it, and then we refund you that mortgage, that refund. And FMBN also process and refund the contributors. When we came in 2017, the total refund the bank has made in 25 years was only 11 billion naira. But within our 4 years of coming, we have refunded over 30 billion naira to Nigerians that have contributed, because we made it very, very much liberal, and we decentralize it to which our branches are at liberty to even do that. Mr. Osidi has given the rundown of all our products and services, from the NHF mortgage loans to the cooperative housing development loan, which Mr. Simon has given that. Any cooperative society, either formal or informal, who need houses for their cooperative members, they apply as a cooperative, they select their developer, they get a title land, and their own approved building designs. Then we approve these loans. When these loans are approved, you start construction. The cooperative pays its loan as long as houses are developed and the off-takers are brought forward for either creation of mortgages or through the rent-on. This is part of one of the things that we do. And you'll find that so far, we have funded over 60 cooperators to build their own houses. And currently, we have over 40 applications that are there. More cooperative societies, especially the informal sector, are coming forward. Though we suspend the estate development loan, that's why we now strengthen this cooperative housing development loan. Apart from the ministerial parallel housing scheme, we are collaborating with the minister. And then the bankable off-taker guarantee we give to developers to do that. And this mortgage loans, the rate is very affordable, as said earlier. The NHF mortgage loan is at 6%, home renovation loan is at 6%, NHF individual construction loan is at 7% for 15 years after a maximum of 15 million naira. The rent to own used to be 9%. Just recently, we reduced it further to 7%. The rent to own is another project whereby all our funded estates, an applicant or any contributor can get into it, and then give him a key, enters into the house and start paying either monthly or quarterly or even annually or biannually. You pay your rent. While you are paying your rent, you own the house over time. And the cooperative loan used to be at 10%. Now we have reduced it to 9.5%. Last week, we had a meeting, we had a National Council of Housing, and the Honorable Minister requested that we should make a single digit too. So in order to do that, we have reduced all our construction finance to 9.5% henceforth. And that's what we are doing. The bankable off-taker guarantee is at 0.5%, whereby some developers want to raise funds somewhere. They now approach FMBN to give them a guarantee that when they construct these affordable houses, we will be there to buy them off and then create mortgages for those off-takers of these housing loans. So, of these off-takers. So these are some of the projects the bank is doing. We have a lot of partnership and collaboration with other partners, like the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, who are our mother ministry. We are into collaborations through housing construction through the Ministerial Power Housing Scheme as a pole and a policy formulation. That housing construction Ministerial Pilot is where the ministry provides its own land, the developers come forward and provide the construction, while FMBN will provide the funding. And it's a PPP arrangement where we have been leveraging on. We are collaborating with FISH, Federal Integrated Staff Housing. It's a mortgage loans to federal public servants who are in it. We're also collaborating with the labor centers. As you quite well know that the bank belongs to the Nigerian workers, whether public and private. So NLC, Nigerian Labour Congress, and Trade Union Congress are the owners of these workers, while the NECA, Nigerian Employees Constituent Assembly, are the owners of the employers. So we sat down on a round table, we drafted an MOU whereby we'll be providing affordable houses to Nigerian workers. We're currently in phase 2 of it, whereby we requested for land from the 36 states of the Federation. On phase 1, we got land from 12 states, and we developed over 1,200 houses. Now we're on phase 2. We requested for 10 hectares of land. 14 states have keyed in. We will now create 200 houses in every state of these 14 states, which is almost 2,800 houses. This one has taken off and many sites are there, while the first phase has already completed and then there. I have said about the cooperative societies, we have revamped this initiative to deliver home ownership across that. We're into partnership with other research institutions like UNILAG Center for Housing and Sustainable Development. Last 2-3 years, we signed MOU with them whereby research and collaboration should be enhanced in housing, especially the affordable housing for Nigerians. We're into the FSS 2020 program. It's a mortgage sector development institution under the CBN, whereby any issues that has to do with housing are deliberated and discussed for review if there is the need to. The major one is the data collection and management. People kept on saying that it's a 17 million housing deficit. Last week when we went to the National Council on Housing, they're even talking about 22 million housing deficit in the country. And it's keep on, but the government has not made any effort to see that we establish what is the real deficit we are facing. That's why the National Real Estate Data Collection and Management Project was established. It's a committee was established between FMBN, between NMRC, between IMBAN, REDAN, which is Real Estate Development Association, the CBN itself, and our mother ministry, Minister of Works and Housing, whereby everybody is contributing fund to see that this National Real Estate Data Collection and Management Project is enhanced in order for the country to be there, because we can't be dependent on the World Bank to be giving us figures that are not in reality. So the growth acceleration strategies we intend to have now, there has to be a multidimensional approach to housing finance in Nigeria. We have to further encourage it. There has to be a continued integration of government assist funds in the development of low and medium income housing in Nigeria that will gradually induce or reduce the current housing deficit that we are having. The following measures, if implemented, will also increase the integration of government assist funds into the housing in Nigeria. First, we have to bring in more federal agencies and other private sector organizations to participate in NHF contribution, because that is the only way the low and medium income earner can be able to access the mortgage in Nigeria. So if you have to bring in more federal agencies and other private organizations, when we come on board, over 8 states are not contributing, states of the Federation out of the 36. We're able to bring in 6 more to make it 34 states. Only Kano and Oyo are not contributing, but we are still making efforts. Even last week I met the honorable commissioners of housing in those 2 states, and they pledged to return back to the NHF contribution within the months. So the second one, we have to enforce enforcement investment clause of NHF Act on commercial banks, because they are supposed to contribute to invest 10% of their annual loan portfolio into the NHF mortgage. If they can do that, the mortgage portfolio or the NHF portfolio, the pool will be large for all Nigerians to benefit. Enforcement of inversion clause also insurance companies. Non-participating state has to return. There has to be strategic partnership also between Bureau of Public Finance, the CAC, state, local government, rather shelter, inbound, federal revenue, the foreign investors who have to do that. So these are some of the things that we feel that it has to be done. Private sector, so emerging solutions and materials. We have to work with governments to ensure an adequate flow of skilled labor and consider a new solution on financing innovative tenure. Adoption of NMRC foreclosure law, a law draft by most states in Nigeria, will also open up more doors for foreign investment in the housing sector. Because once that foreclosure law is not strengthened, I doubt any investor, any serious investor will come forward. That's why now NMRC is taking that matter up, and we're keen into that, whereby last 2 years, I think I have to meet with the Nigerian Governors Forum for 15 minutes to show to them the need for them to key into the Nigerian, to key into the foreclosure law, mortgage foreclosure law, in order for all Nigerians to do that, to have the confidence in creating mortgages. Non-profit organizations such as community land trust, housing cooperatives, and microfinance institutions have a critical role in bridging the gap between governments and the private sector to improve the affordability of housing. It's working with the individuals to help them understand their options and make informed decisions. FNBA is currently has revamped the initiative to deliver home ownership across guarantees of cooperative societies. Local governments that we are looking at, Nigeria has 774 local governments. Imagine all of them have keyed in. They have to define their long-term plans for increasing supply of affordable housing, balancing the need to minimize urban sprawl with the limits of viability of building denser and taller buildings. They need to address political considerations that could hold back development of new affordable housing. We have to ensure that housing development have adequate infrastructure. We have to explore ways to improve the situation in this living in informal housing. We have to create a strong regulatory enabling environment for private and non-profit sectors. It's good to know that under the National Economic Sustainability Program of the federal government, after the COVID-19 impact on the economy, the federal government realized that the private sector are most affected with this pandemic. So it will take longer time for them to pick up, especially the construction industry, for them to pick up and then start construction. So the federal government gathered all the government institutions. What can you do as an economic measure to create more jobs? FNBN offered to create jobs by building 5,000 houses within 1 year. We are injecting 40 billion naira. Currently, the projects have taken off, whereby we are going to deliver a mini city and mega city in Abuja in order to have more jobs there. And we have also requested for them from all the 36 states of the Federation to give us 10 hectares of land to develop these houses nationwide. So this is some of our contributions the federal mortgage has done. And I'm happy most of the participants have applauded us. I thank you for that. And then I look forward for more questions if there are. Though Mr. Osidi has done well in answering most of our questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Architect Dangiwa. Yeah, I think that is worthy. That is worthy. Very short, sharp, concise, and I dare to say that the amount of information that you have dished out is enormous. The different collaboration, you've spoken really well and very aptly to a lot of questions that I have here. I tell you that between where you started and now, I can do a screenshot to you. You have 35 questions waiting. I'm not sure you can take that today, but I've read through them and basically see what it looked like. But basically, I'll be asking Architect Dangiwa some questions, but definitely not all questions. But one thing that he has said that I think everybody can take away is the fact that for government-backed housing finance solutions, there seems to be something for everyone. I note that the link to the form that we have shared only people with Microsoft accounts are able to open it. They are working on a Google form very soon. You will get that. What I would advise is that you complete those forms. We will definitely reach back to you. You know that Alphamid Development has very good relationship with government institutions like the Federal Mortgage Bank, who can help you either as, as a cooperative, as a group, local government, NGO, and so on and so forth. That Architect Dangiwa has mentioned. We have very good relationship with them. We would reach out to you. I can assure you that we will reach out to you before the end of next week. Before Friday, you will all get the call. So what I will beseech you to do is to ensure you fill the form. The Google form is coming, just hang in there. For those who have filled the Microsoft form, we can see them. We don't know what happened to the Microsoft, why it's not available to everyone, but we are putting up a Google form that you can use. So that is one way we think we can be able to answer all the questions that are here. But sir, there are some questions that I've decided to lump together, and we'll take 3 of them, and hopefully we cover, enough. Like I said, most of the questions that are coming are for SMEs, people in diaspora, people who are not in paid employment, and I think you've spoken to those with some of your through your speech. But one of the ones that are coming very strongly, and I would like you to speak to it, is the issue of the perception around accessing the mortgage or the NHF. A lot of people feel that it is very difficult to access it, and they are asking, what is the Federal Mortgage Bank doing to debunk and to dissipate this position that it is very difficult and you shouldn't even bother to try to access it because you would never be able to get it?
Well, thank you very much. Quite well. It used to be very difficult for Nigerians to access NHF mortgage loans, but that is in the past. Currently, when we came on board in 2017, that's what we realized. It takes longer time for loans to be processed, many months or even a year for it to be processed. So now what we did was within 6 months of our coming in 2017, we came in April. By December or thereabout, we now called for a retreat. It's a management retreat whereby all the units in the bank were invited to come and give a rundown of how much it takes to create mortgage loan within their own units. And we reviewed all the loan processes from almost 180 days to just a minimum of 90 days. In fact, 88 days, because we realized that every 3 months our board meets and then decides every quarterly there is a board meeting. And at that board meeting, that's when we now approve loans. That's why we are able to get a lot of mortgage loans being approved within that period. So no mortgage loans exceed 3 months without being processed by the bank. This is just to meet up with the mortgage. Some of the even created mortgages, they don't even reach up to that. By the time you come within 30, 40 days, you are lucky you will be shortlisted into the next board meeting, and then your loan will be processed. But the one issue we always encounter is whereby the mortgage bank will now approve a mortgage loan, but disbursement will become an issue through the primary mortgage banks, whereby the primary mortgage bank will have to meet some disbursement requirements. Those requirements are what usually sometimes delay that. And we are always, that's why we try to tell the primary mortgage bank that once a loan reaches the executive management level of approval, because there are 3 levels of approval, we have the credit committee, the executive manager, and then the board. So when the executive manager were able to pass your mortgage loan, they will inform the PMBs to start preparing for all those disbursement requirements before the board approvals. So that when the board approves it, we quickly provide all those needed requirements, and then disbursement will be done to you. You'll be surprised how much we have disbursed within the last 4 years through this, the processes and the review of the turnaround time, which we're able to do. So that there won't be that, and that's not the same thing any longer. Not only on the loan disbursement, all processes. That's why I told you, even the refund, for 25 years, the bank has refunded 11 billion, but we came and refunded 30 billion within 4 years. So that is that shows to you. And even on the mortgage creations, we're able, the whole bank, I think, disburses 130 billion naira since inception within the last 25 years. But when we came on board, we Within 4 years, we gave out loans worth 130 billion naira. So you see, we have given 100% within 4 years of what has been there for 25 years. So this is what we are trying to do. And we created other options. We reduced a lot of bottlenecks. Some people cannot even access the loan before we came because of the fact that you have to pay an equity of up to 30% for you to get a 10 million naira mortgage. Why can the civil servant get 3 million naira, 30% of 10 million to accept that? That's why we reduced anything up to 30%. Please, we brought it to 10%. There's another option even whereby you don't even have to pay equity or even perfection, the rent to own. Some of our funded estate will find the line follow, no mortgage creation has been done on them. We still let Nigerians enter that. We have 23 states around the federation where we have funded estates lying without mortgages. Because some of these PMBs, they cannot afford to go to further states. You know, most of the construction of the PMBs are concentrated in few states. So we find that let's use that leverage and do that. Somebody in Taraba State, no mortgage around that area. I think the whole of Northeast, there are only 2 or 3 mortgages, PMBs that are there. So these are the kind of initiative we did. For individuals, even that wants to own their houses, they can even apply to renovate or even complete or even construct their houses. So many options were provided for Nigerians to choose from. That's what even triggered that. And because we are doing that, that's why more Nigerians are coming into the contribution. When we came on board in 2017, I always want to give that figure for you to see that there is an improvement. When we came in the total contribution we made in 25 years for NHF was 273 billion. But within 4 years of our coming, we're able to get contribution of 210 billion naira. Now we have over 490 billion naira contributions. So within 4 years, we're able to contribute 210 billion compared to what was contributed in 2007, within 25 years of 273. You know that people are beginning to build more confidence on the scheme. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Before you go, I'm going to just take one more question, and that is particularly coming from, I'm lumping them together. I can see there's somebody in HR, there is another person who owns an organization, and the general question, again, still speaks slightly around the issue of perception, is that it's been pretty difficult for them to even register their company for the National Housing Fund. I know you've spoken very eloquently to some of the things that you have done, but at the end of the day, this is the trust of a forum like this. We want to bring people like you to meet, directly with direct beneficiaries of your products and services. So what assurance can you give these people? I have about 4 people saying about the same thing, about the issue of registration. What is the Federal Mortgage Bank doing to ease this this process moving on?
I think we have, it's the only bank that we have branches in all the 36 states of the Federation. We have branches nationwide, whereby anybody can key into that. We're able to maintain these branches, and the staffs are up and doing. They are there doing sensitization to all the state workers, the local government workers, even the public. In some states, even road shows are being done to inform Nigerians that FMBN exists. There is a loan, affordable mortgages, and very accessible for Nigerians. So I doubt any Nigerian who can approach any of our branches nationwide. He can be assisted to do that. That is on that aspect. And currently we have created, we are trying to create there's an app already whereby you can even key in and register. Once you can be able to register, star 219 hash, you can be able to know many other things. With the star 219 hash, you can update your contact detail, you can check your contribution, you can retrieve your NHM number, you can request your statement account, you can even do some mortgage calculator through your own salary and monthly income. There's a bulletin board where we give up-to-date information of what the bank is having once you dial star 219 hash. And the app itself, it's there for people, Nigerians, to register into the NHF scheme. So I doubt if the Nigerians, once you sign up the app, say just as code services, you can be able to do that. Most importantly, please walk into any of our branches nationwide. They will surely show you, give you a form to fill it. It's just a one-page form to which you can fill. If you have workers, they can also fill it. The employer and the workers can do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Dangiwa. Like I said, you've spoken to a lot of things. The questions are coming, still coming, but you've spoken pretty much to most of the questions. The questions are around SMEs and a number of other things like that. And Mr. Osidi has also spoken to that. But let me ask this lastly, before I get Damola to give the vote of thanks to you. Let me ask this lastly, just to satisfy the audience, because I see that question coming back, and it's about people in the SME sector. That I see some teachers from private schools, for example, and I see a particular Professor Rufus from one of the College of Educations also here asking the same question, that for people in this kind of sector where they don't have structured ways of approaching the National Housing Fund or the Federal Mortgage Bank as it were, what would be your advice, or what would be, the way that you think they could, access this all important, loan to their home ownership journey, sir?
The last statement, I wanted to hear it again, please.
Okay, I said that questions are coming from people in SMEs, small businesses, from teachers in private schools, in smaller private schools, from professors in College of Educations. I'm just lumping everything together. But the unique thing about them is that they are not able to access the NHF in a structured manner. So they are asking that for people like them who do not work in structured sectors, where they are contributing to the NHF, how can they begin and how can they have access to the NHF?
Well, access to NHF, is on requirements. If you need it, you will surely get it. So what's important is for anybody that is contributing to NHF, so it is right to access any of the products that we are giving. One good thing is we have given a lot of products to choose from, and you can choose according to your own affordability. We have houses in those states whereby if you need it, you can just walk into our state office to brief you on how to go into the rent to own or how to go into the NHF mortgage loan. And we have the home renovation loan where you just pick your form, go and fill it, and then return and then process tax from there. We have the individual construction loan whereby you have a plot of land titled, whereby we can provide you with a mortgage loan to build a house incrementally until you complete your houses. This doesn't used to be there. And once you can even choose a house anywhere from any developer, or somebody wants to sell his own house. When those houses have a title land, we can create mortgage for you through the NHF mortgage loan. So these are some of the products that people, Nigerians, need to go into. But you must request for it before you get into it. And then affordability is key in the sense that 1/3 of your salary times the number of years to retire. That's what gives your own affordability, number of months for you to retire. If you have 10 years to retire, that means you have 120 months to retire, times 1/3 of salary. That gives you the affordability you need. And then at the same time, I came into the government policies where the government said that teachers have to retire after 65 years. We have just accepted that into FMB and say the teachers' affordability would be increased because the number of months has increased with the 65 years given by Mr. President last year. Professors are also up to 70 years. Judges are up to 70 years. So these are all some of the things we always factor into in order to make home ownership very affordable and very accessible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We've been here and I'm not sure we'll be able to take more questions. Like I said, please complete the form. You can be sure that you will hear from Alphamid before the end of next week. Before the end of next week, somebody from our team will reach out to you we can help you. We can either from a cooperative, from a group perspective, we can help you access some of these benefits, some of these features. We have relationship and partnership with mortgage bank, primary mortgage bank institutions who can help you benefit from this. So please complete the form. We will share the Google form very shortly. My colleagues are working on it. While that is going on, I will call on Engineer Femi Akintunde again to thank on behalf of AlphaMid and the general public. We started this with about 249 people, and I dare say that 2 hours after, we are still at 214. That is amazing. Thank you very much for everybody who has stayed online. It tells you that the quality of discussion and the quality of information that is going out here today is something that people find very, very, very germane in their personal life. So Engineer Femi Akintunde, I want you to, on behalf of the market, on behalf of low and middle income intending homeowners, thank very profusely Ahmed Dangiwa on behalf of AlphaMid. Engineer Femi Akintunde.
Thank you very much, SESO. I'm sure when they say the taste of the beauty of the pudding is in the eating, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. When I introduced architect Dangiwa,
Engineer Akintunde, can you, sorry to interject, the sound coming from your end is still very faint, sir. If you
okay, can you hear me better?
Very faintly.
Hello, can you hear me now? Is it better?
You probably need to check your volume button, sir.
Really? Hello? Can you hear me? Is it better?
Yeah, Architect Dangiwa, I don't know if you can hear Engineer Femi.
Hello? Is SESO hearing me? Hello? 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 Can you hear me? Sorry, I don't know.
Engineer Akintunde, we can see you, but we cannot hear you, sir.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
So do you want to maybe log out and log in again?
Okay, let me try that.
Yeah, in the meantime, I'll just take one question, and that question goes to Damola. I hope I can quickly access that. Yes, my question goes to Damola. As stated, you don't have control over the price of construction material, which is absolutely correct. However, do you think you can devise a means of measuring appropriate amount of particular house size? For example, I know some QS use rough formula to do that. Damola.
Yeah, thank you, SESO. The question was not really explicit. Can you please go over it again so I can understand the question?
Okay, I think it's pretty much just talking about the sizes of when we were speaking about what should people be buying, and you were talking about 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartment. So it's saying that what sort of way can one approximately, I think in terms of is our finance, apply for any of these kind of house types?
Okay, so again, you need to decide what kind of space that you actually need, not the kind of space that you desire. There's always a big difference between those two things. Anyone would desire a 5-bedroom house, large lawn, and all the perks that come with it, if we have our way. And unfortunately, the Nollywood and the Hollywoods, they've given us an impression that if you don't live in any of these mansions, you have not arrived. So the reality is that for an average family of 3 or an average family of 4 or 5, what you really need is, much less a 2-bedroom. So if you have to get a 3-bedroom, it simply means that you're either going to be welcoming visitors, or you want to have some extra space. And any extra space that is unutilized costs money. That's the real bottom line. So we need to come to that reality point where we must put aside the element of perception and look at practical needs that meet our income and also our budget, so that you don't buy a 3-bedroom house when you can afford a 2, or you buy a 4-bedroom when you can afford a 3. So the question is very apt, and I think an average family of 4 people can stay in a 2-bedroom, especially when it's designed in an AlphaMid way. AlphaMid is one of the very few companies that has achieved what I'll call the Edge Advanced certification, which means the spaces and standards that we comply with of international best practice. And therefore, we don't subscribe to building anything less than 12 square meters for your bedrooms, because that is exactly the standard. And that applies across all our projects, so that you don't find yourself having environmental hazards because of, imagine if you had to isolate in a 6 square meter, 7 square meter room, the pandemic could have been worse. So on a lighter note, that's what I was trying to emphasize, that you need bigger spaces, and in AlphaMid, you can certainly find bigger spaces, even if the number of rooms may be less, but they will meet your requirements. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Damola. Yes, the Google form is right online now. For those who are not able to use the Microsoft form, you can use the Google form. My colleague Larry Awode just shared it, just to be sure that you're not being spammed. So you will see a link from Larry Awode. He has shared a Google form for those who are not able to use the Microsoft form. Like I said, just fill the form, demonstrate your interest, and somebody from our team will reach out to you before the end of next week. Besides the fact that, AlphaMid has very strong relationship and defined process that can help you access this institutional housing finance option, we also have products that suit you. AlphaMid has products for as low as 50,000 naira monthly, that you can contribute for up to 18 months, and we can help you, access the NHF fund, NHF mortgage rather, which you can pay for up to 25 years. And with what Architect Dangiwa just said now, if you are a teacher or you are a professor or you are a judge, then it even says that you can even have more, time for spreading it. So we might not be able to answer all the questions here today, but I assure you that if you fill the form, we will definitely get back to you with the right, funding option and the right product. Engineer Femi Akitunde is back online now, and I want to believe that the sound issue has been sorted, so we can have him, help us, deliver the roundup for Architect Dangiwa's keynotes. Engineer Femi Akitunde, please.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Very well, sir. Very well.
Okay. Like Cheson said, we apologize for the technology glitch. Well, like they say that the proof of the pudding is in the eating. When I introduced Architect Dangiwa, I mentioned how much value he has brought to the real estate industry for us. And it touches on all the various stakeholders. His policies have impacted everybody, government, the people, the developers, everybody. And we really, really appreciate that. We appreciate how much he has done. And the advocacy role is even playing, the way he has been promoting home ownership and supporting the market. The kind of confidence he has brought to people who have been trying to access mortgage facility from the Federal Mortgage Bank in the past, and they've struggled through that process. His tenure has brought a new dimension. A lot of people, because of the bad experience they've had in the past, they've not even tried to even check back. Now, once you mention NHF, people just forget it, that well, that contribution I have lost. I can tell you that that experience is changing and changing very, very fast. This new management team, Engineer Dangiwa and his team, They have done very well. And we can tell you that our experience has been very positive to date. And we hope that the good work they are doing will continue in this manner. So on that note, I would like to say a very big thank you to Architect Dangiwa for all he has done for the industry and for making out time early this morning to be on this platform. It shows the kind of respect and interest he has in promoting his product. Being the public servant in that position today, he believes so much in what he's doing. He believes so much in impacting people. And that is something that we should see in every public servant, in every agency of government. So I'd like to thank Mr. Osidi, our very, very good brother. Every time my team visit Abuja, your name is always ringing a bell. All everywhere in our office, you'll be very supportive. And we cannot take it for granted, because it's only when you meet a very bad officer that you appreciate the good ones. So we thank you for all you have been doing to support us, to support our company, to support our business and all our customers. I can say that we have been able to access close to $1 billion. And that is not something that a lot of people understand and they believe. Hundreds of people have gotten their mortgages, we've developed properties, we've sold to them, and they've accessed the 6% loan. So when we show people that this has happened, that's when they now believe that it is true that Federal Mortgage Bank has changed. And we believe that this change will continue. And the more of the kind of management team we have there now, the more we expect in the industry. Thank you very much, and God bless. And everybody, I don't know whether I'm supposed to give vote of thanks to everybody now, but since you told me only for Architect Dangiwa, I should do it. Okay. Like I said at the beginning, even before Architect Dangiwa came on online, I really, really appreciate the contributions of everybody. This is what we call active engagement. The questions were just pouring in, the comments were pouring in. And it shows that we are all very serious, we are determined to solve this very, very big problem of providing shelter for our families. Any man that cannot provide food or shelter for his family is a big challenge to us. A Nigerian wants to be proud of himself, and men and women are trooping in, asking questions about mortgage, asking questions about home ownership, and the response to this call, to this event today, further confirms that as Nigerians, if we all commit to this, we're all focused, we will solve this problem. There's no problem that is insurmountable. And with the kind of a catalyst that we see from FMBN end, I believe we're on to the promised land. So thank you for making our time here today. And thank you for believing in AlphaMid, because a lot of companies will invite people for events like this. They would never show up. Maybe they will see 10 or 20 people and they call it off. We just sent out this message briefly. The confidence you have in the brand has been shown. Over 700 people, I mean it, over 700, if not close to 1,000. As at yesterday evening, people were still registering en masse. And the comments is that, look, send us a link. We're not able to make it, but we'll definitely be interested in what you guys are offering. So thank you for being part of this event. And I wish you the best of the time.
All right, thank you very much, Engineer Femi Akintunde, and thank you all to the panelists. I know that the event took an unusual turn, but at the end of the day, it's about the customers. The customers hit us very hard with their questions, and we just had to take it, the way they want it, because at the end of the day, that's why we are here. This is a knowledge sharing platform that AlphaMid has created to ensure that there is enough information in the market about how people can, access government-backed housing finance options to fulfill their home ownership. And I believe very strongly that, with what Mr. Architect Dangiwa said, Mr. Osidi, Damola Kindolure, Philip German, Simon Ogu, everybody has contributed in one way or the other, from Nigeria to the diaspora to SMEs. We have spoken very eloquently to some of these challenges. I know we did not finish the questions. They are still even coming in as I speak to you. But if you fill those forms, I can assure you that you would definitely reach out to you. I have also had questions about the slides and the video. Yes, we will have this up on our YouTube channel very soon. And when you are getting your survey questions from all, you definitely also have access to the video where you can watch this again and use the information that is there and share with other people. So I want to say a very big thank you to the host of today, Mr. Damola Akindolure. Very, very, very thoughtful kind of initiative. He's been pushing this. This is the second edition, and I want to believe very strongly that this will definitely not be the last. He was telling me about an amazing one that we are bringing up the next quarter. You will be very, very amazed about what is coming. So I will just say, hang in there, stay tuned to AlphaMe because we have your interest at heart. When we say we care, we really, really mean that we care. So I want to say a very big thank you to everyone, to all the participants that has been here today. I want to say a very big thank you to my colleagues who have been working back end to ensure that things move on very well. Thank you and God bless. And I want to say a very happy Workers' Day to everyone once again. So till we come your way next time, my name is Olusegun Samson Ogoye, and I'm the head of marketing for AlphaMe Group. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Damola, for having us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Simon. Thank you, Mr. Osidi. We really appreciate you and fantastic job, SESO. Have a great day.
Okay,
Thank you, PMG.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Sorry, the people took over the event.
It's okay. It's warm.
Yeah, if you see you are a panelist, I'm sure you will see the chat box, the way the things are coming. I can't even keep track of it.
I'm telling you, that's beautiful.
But I think
it shows that it's working.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, people need information. They need information. There's a lot of gap in the market.
That's
true. You can see the thank you information. Thank you, great conversation. Thank you, very informative. Please reply this discussion. Thank you all. These are very amazing stuff that are happening here. Thank you very much, everyone. We really appreciate it. And for almost 2 hours, we just had about 13 people, who left the chat room.
Perfect. It's a wonderful one.
My colleague was telling me that, so let's keep it within an hour yesterday. We wanted to keep it within an hour, just to make it short and sharp. But they took over everything. They took over everything.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Simon.
Yeah. All right, bye.